Welcome to the Lovefly podcast. It's Paul Tizard here, Fear of Flying coach, and today we're joined by the amazing Amy Jo Simpson, who has been doing a fantastic job promoting us, but also it sounds like you've done a lot of really great stuff yourself in terms of getting over your fear. So, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. This is super exciting.
No, likewise. Thank you. And yeah, I'm really keen to hear your story, how you found us, and you tell us a bit about your journey.
Well, do you know what? I was trying to think earlier when my fear of flying started, and it wasn't until I was quite a lot older. I first flew when I was 17, and that was like a flight to Tenerife. It was fine. I didn't know what to expect, so it was kind of like, oh, this is probably normal, and I was absolutely fine, no worries at all. And I remember a flight. This is probably when I was in my 30s. And I remember a flight where I was working in Italy, and we were just there for like a few days I used to do events. So we used to do this event. And we flew back, and the pilot said it's going to be quite bumpy because there's a bit of stormy weather. And I remember coming in, we were about to land in Stansted, and this is what it felt like, right? So I'm sat there.
Here we go.
My friend that I'm with loves any kind of turbulence. But the bumpier, the better for her. So she's like, yeah, this is great. And I'm like, oh my God, what is
so she's some sort of weirdo then, yeah, obviously.
She's a weirdo, basically.
Yeah, no worries.
Loves any kind of stuff like living on the edge. Anyways, the plane's coming down to land, all the landing gears down. We're lit. Well, what it felt like, we were this, you can't see me here, like this far off the ground.
Yes.
And suddenly it literally just went back up. And we was like, oh my God. And everyone kind of went, ah. Laura, meanwhile, was going, this is the best thing ever. And I think it probably started from then. I can't remember even why that happened, but I think it might have been the weather or something. You couldn't land.
Yeah.
I think it started from there, and then obviously it progressively got worse and worse as I got older. And my last flight, no, it wasn't my last flight. We were flying back from Miami, and we'd been on a PR trip, Andy and I, my husband, and I was awful. I've never been that bad. Any kind of bump, I was literally crying, but crying not loudly, crying like with a blanket over my head so no one can really see me. Like, you wouldn't know I was scared. I'm one of those people.
Did you literally have a blanket over your head?
I literally have a blanket over my head. So I mean, everyone must have been like, who's the weirdo with a blanket over her head? But I'm, for a solid 5 hours, I'm sat there. My husband's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, not really. And then after that, I put a message on my Instagram saying, on like a story, just saying, gosh, that was the worst flight I've ever experienced. It wasn't even that bad, and I was panicky on every bump. And then someone came back to me and said, have you listened to the Lovefly podcast? In fact, a couple of people come back and said that. And I said, wow. No, I haven't. And so I started listening to you. And there was one particular podcast, I think it was, is the guy's name Steve?
Captain Steve, yeah.
Captain Steve. I listened to that one because I obviously went straight to the Turbulence.
Of course, yes.
Had a title that said Turbulence. And I listened to that, and it just made so much sense. Honestly, it was like this thing had just lifted off of me. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And it's coming from a pilot, so he's obviously telling the truth here. That's how I came about you. Sorry, that was a long way to explain that, wasn't it?
I prefer long explanations, so I don't have to say as much. So it's much more helpful. So that's quite interesting. So it started then with a go around at Stansted. And then it's built on that, and I guess it's quite normal if people don't understand what might be going on. It's completely explainable and understandable that it can trigger a fear because it is such a dynamic movement. And also because the pilots and the crew don't talk to you for a few minutes, so you're sort of left going, what the earth has happened, because their thing is to fly the aircraft. That's the most important thing, but
and there was that flight back from, no, was it that flight? Yes, it was the Miami flight. The captain actually came over was it that one? It might have been a different one. Anyway, a captain came over the announcement and said, stewards, please take a seat. And I went, oh my God, why is
this is it.
It was literally like brutal. Stewards, take a seat. And I was like, oh, this is the way I'm going to die. This is the end of it. And I'm looking around the plane and I'm like, why is no one else panicking? Why is everyone looking like carrying on, reading their books? And I'm going, what? Why? Why is no one? And I'm a rational person. Like I've got quite a grown-up-ish job, and I'm very rational when it comes to things. And when it comes to this, I just all goes out of the window. It's bizarre. I mean, I'm much better now, but it was so bad.
Yeah. So I mean, if the pilot said it literally like that, that can be also quite striking. And a lot of people have said that, when the crew are told to sit down, they think this is it, this is the big one.
Yeah.
And so it's understandable.
Yeah.
But you get it now, don't you? It's like, you understand why now, don't you? You've listened to the podcast. And
when I listened to the one with you and Steve, he was saying, the only reason really why you're putting the seatbelts in is because you don't hurt yourself, because it can be quite it's quite bumpy, and if things fly around. And I was like, hey, okay, that makes sense. It's not because we're going to drop out of the sky.
So what do you like now when you fly?
When I came back from Miami, and then we were flying to Dubai 2 weeks later, and I thought, I've got to do something about this, because I'm terrified already about on a flight and going to Dubai, because it was so bad. And what I realized is, I think I'm worse when I don't have my children with me.
When you don't have your children?
When I don't have my children. So when Andy and I went on the flight to Miami, when I got on the flight to Miami from Heathrow, I said to Andy, oh my God, we haven't sorted out godparents. Like, what if we both die in an aeroplane crash and our kids have got no... I was like a crazy woman. I was there with my phone, texting my sister-in-law going, you've got the kids if anything happens, okay? And she's going, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not. And honestly, absolutely mad. And so obviously we got back, and then 2 weeks later we were flying to Dubai with my sister-in-law and brother-in-law and all of our kids. It was a family holiday. And I'd listened and listened. I'm not joking. I must have listened to your every single episode. In fact, I did listen to every single episode on your playlist. Yeah, I did. I was listening to it all day. I was like, I've got 2 weeks to get this in. And it was the one with Steve about the turbulence and the bump in a road. And what really helped me actually was when he said, well, it feels really bad to you guys in the back, the bumpy, but when you can see as a pilot, when you can see it, like driving along, like I think he used the example of when you drive in a car and you hit a bump, you don't go, oh my God, because you're expecting to hit it. So that I kept saying, oh no, it's all right. It's actually okay. And when he said about when you feel like you're dropping a mile down, he said, actually, you're only dropping a little bit. And did I learn the jelly bean thing with you guys? I can't remember. I heard the jelly bean thing in a cup.
No, we can't take credit for that. It was somebody posted it in the Lovefly group, but no, it wasn't us.
Right, okay. So I kept thinking about that as well, and it's just a bump in the road, and it's not dropping out of the sky, and actually it's just dropping a little bit. Well, the flight there, it was incredible. There was not, the seatbelt sign did not go on once, and I was like, God, I'm living my best life. This is amazing. I even managed to have an alcoholic drink, because normally I wouldn't. I would be just water, no food, blanket, I'm focused type thing. But
so was there a blanket involved in this particular trip? No blanket.
No blanket. I was so relaxed. The kids were there, they were loving it. My sister-in-law, however, I've learnt, is awful. She is got a fear of sickness on a flight, so she's in general. In fact, selfishly, it really helped me, because I was trying to calm her down. I was literally like you. I was like, no, this is what happens. And I was so relaxed. She was going, God, you're like a different person. And on the way back from Dubai, oh my goodness, I've never experienced turbulence like it. It was like the worst it literally...
Well, you needed a test, didn't you?
I was fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was
really
fine. And Emma was having a breakdown, and I'm going, it's all right, it's fine. It's just literally, and I was showing her on the screen. I was like, look, literally, it's not even moving. You can't even, when you look at it on the screen, it's not even moving. And it really helped me, actually, just helping her, because No, I've got to make her feel calm and talk her through it. But that was, the seatbelt sign was on for the entire flight. And it always happens when you get your food. You get your food and then he goes, can you put your seatbelt signs on, please? And then obviously like your food's going everywhere.
So it always happens.
Always happens. Or just as they poured like a glass of wine.
Yeah, of course.
Red wine as well.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So you went through that much worse turbulence. Seatbelt signs on, or just
on the
that one back?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was on. They were on the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
And so with did the crew have to sit down at all, or was it?
Yes, the crew had to sit down for quite a long time as well, and it did.
And still no blanket.
Still no blanket. When the captain came on and said, "Stewards, can you please take a seat?" He did warn us. He said it is going to be quite bumpy.
Yeah.
So that helped as well. But I did have a slight, oh God, he's asked the crew to sit down, but it's okay, it's fine. I kept going over and over and over your stuff in my head, going, it's fine. It's like to the captain, it's fine. It's just a little bit bumpy.
Yeah.
They're just having a chin wag at the front. That's what I kept thinking. It's like they're relaxed. It's fine. But honestly, I was a different person, absolute different person.
That's amazing. So how long were you carrying that fear versus how long have you been without it?
Oh, for years and years. Since, I mean, that flight back from Italy was a good 12, 15 years ago.
Right.
So, it's taken a long time. But I do feel like I have more fears now I'm a mum. Like my anxiety, I've got a health anxiety as well, but it's a completely different thing to the flying thing. It's not like I feel like I'm going to get ill. It's just I feel like I'm going to crash and die. It's like it's a different kind of anxiety. But when those thoughts overtake you, it's weird, and you're like, no, it's stupid. Like I'm rational. I know this is silly. Like everyone flies every day. You're more likely to get run over by a bus, But when when I was in that state, and
I love that. Do you hear what you did then?
What?
You changed tense mid-sentence. Do you notice that?
Did I say, what did I say then?
So when I am and when I was, changed it.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, it's been a total game changer. Just listening to normal conversations about it, then just going, actually, it's fine. It's just they do this every single day. There's so many flights, and you go on to how many flights there are a day, and it's just But one of my favourite programmes to watch is Air Crash Investigators. I mean, I'm a weirdo. I will sit down, and if anything like that, I'll be like, oh, I want to watch this. I mean,
and you don't find that makes you worse?
Probably, yeah. I haven't watched it in a while, have to say.
Because I have watched them, and I have to sort of watch it with a bit of a filter built in. Yeah. And I always say to people who are scared of flying or have been scared of flying, do not watch, because they just feed the fear,
I know, exactly. It's like I want to, I don't know. It's very strange. I haven't watched it for a while though.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with them in terms of they do portray that this thing did happen and they did learn from it, and that's why it won't happen again. And that's a good message. But unfortunately, because of the way they does it with the dramatic music and stuff,
that's it, and the really bad actors at the start.
And the really bad actors, it just doesn't help, does it? Yeah, so it just reinforces it all. But
yeah,
okay. Well, I'd probably say that you're doing so well. Maybe you could avoid them for a little bit longer if you could.
I might not watch them again.
Good.
Yeah.
So what about now then? So you sound like you're fine with it. It was the turbulence thing was the big thing, and you've found a process for that. Is in terms of like maintaining it, reinforcing it, what's your thoughts around that?
I'm just going to keep listening to that. So I've listened to that episode quite a few times.
Which one was it?
The one with Steve, and you were talking about turbulence. I don't know which one it was, because we've got quite a few on there, but it says, I think the title was Turbulence, or what is turbulence or something.
Right.
And I do listen to that one a lot. I literally feel like a professional on it now.
So you could probably repeat it word for word now, couldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's scary.
I know. And what else? Steve said something else about, I think he's only had a plane drop quite a long way in like, I don't know how many years he was there or something. He said it's only happened to me like once or something where it's dropped quite a long way.
Mm.
And I thought, oh, that's good statistic. That's all right. I can deal with that.
Yeah. And just to clarify, so he's talking about severe turbulence, and it feels like it drops a long way, but it's a lot more sort of violent and unexpected, but it is normally very brief.
Yeah.
Because if it was to last any longer than that, they'd be trying to get out of it anyway. It's not because it's any danger to the aircraft, but it's just because it's uncomfortable to us and our squishy bodies.
Yeah, exactly. But this will make you laugh. I worked for the RAF for 4 years. So I worked with the
ground job, was it?
Yeah, it was. I was a presenter on the ground. So I worked with the Chinook team, and it was so funny because they were all like, "You're mad!" Like, because obviously they love it. It's like their absolute passion. And we were meant to go up in the Chinook and do the Thames tour. And I was kind of looking forward to it, but I was like, "Oh God, I need to try and like put a brave face."
Yeah.
And anyway, COVID hit, and then it got.
Shame.
I was like, oh, okay, never mind. But actually, looking back now, it would have been the flight of a lifetime, I would imagine, with the back open and going around the Thames.
So, without sort of dwelling on the negative, what things have you kind of missed out on as a result of the flying, or has it not stopped you?
I want to enjoy the flight. Because everyone's like, my niece and my daughter love flying, and my son actually. My daughter is this person who is so relaxed. So when all that bad turbulence was happening, she's there doing all her uni work. I was like, "You're right." She was like, "Yeah, I want to just get some food," but they're sat down. I was like, "Yeah, they can't get up, Meg, because they've been told to sit down." And my niece, like, she looks forward to the flight the most out of everything. Like, she was like, "Yes, I can watch all the movies. I can just relax." I'm like, I'm so jealous because I just want that flight to be over. And now I still wouldn't say I enjoy flying. But I want to be that person to look forward to the flight and look forward to the whole experience of it. And
so is that your sort of ultimate goal? Where are you in relation to that now then?
I don't know. I've got a flight in 2 weeks to Athens. So that's a 3.5 hour, I think. That's with Meg, so I'm with my daughter on that one. So I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy it. She keeps me pretty calm. She's just like, "Mum, just shut up," type thing. You're fine. You're being over dramatic. That's what she says to me. She just brings me back down to real life.
That's funny.
Yeah, but we were talking about we wanted to go to New Zealand and Australia and like go and do a tour. And my first thought was, oh my goodness, how long's the flight? Like how long have I sit on the plane for? How long? Surely it can't fly for that long. Like, they're going to run out of fuel. And then I thought, no, stop it. Stop. So
that was your first thought. And the second thought was?
I didn't think about the turbulence. The turbulence is kind of like the turbulence is all right, honestly, but I don't want any other thoughts to creep into my head and that take over the.
No. So now it's just about the duration of the flight. That's
It's now I need to fly upper class basically everywhere I go. So that's not going to happen with 2 children. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah, that's a shame. But I think I can understand why you might want to do that. But there's a few challenges around sort of budget and things. But if you can, even if you manage premium, you get slightly bigger seats and stuff.
So it's difficult, isn't it? Sitting, I'm quite tall as well, so I'm always kind of like, I'm like always like this, really, because my legs the thing, and then the food comes in, and I'm like, oh God, this is uncomfortable.
So which is quite, I suppose it feels quite constricting anyway. Then maybe.
But no, we'll definitely go to Australia and New Zealand. I just have to suck it up and get it done for the
So there's
kids.
a bit more work then by the sound of it needed, but you've made some significant progress considering how you were for 10, 15 years, whatever it was. That's quite remarkable.
Yeah. And I was dreading that 2 weeks before when I was listening to all of your podcasts. I was dreading it. I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to get on the flight. What if I have a panic attack before? Like, what if we're waiting to board and I have a panic attack? Like, what do I do? Or if I get on the plane, I close the door and I have a panic attack. It was just thinking about it rationally and going, no, it's not going to happen. It's fine. I'm with my safe place. I'm with my family. You know, they're my safe place, and everything's fine.
So I quite like that, because you've literally gone through all that process and they're all running in your head, but you still did it anyway, and you're still going to do it anyway.
Yeah, I've never been at the stage where it stopped me. And I know a lot of when I put the post out, a lot of my followers, bless them, they're like, I haven't been on a plane for 20 years because I'm terrified. I've only ever been in this country, and I would love to be able to, you know, fly to go and see my family. It's really sad. And I couldn't believe how many people actually commented saying that they had a fear of flying. It's absolutely like amazed me.
Yeah. It's a lot of people. I mean, I'd read different stats around it. You know, 1 in 5 is the common one. They've said that since the 80s. But I read somewhere the other day, they said 1 in 3. I don't think it's as many as 1 in 3, but it's probably is 1 in 4.
Wow.
It's a lot, isn't it?
That is a lot, isn't it? Yeah.
Just the UK, that's, you know, over 12 million people.
It's insane, isn't it? That's crazy. I remember I was coming back from one flight. I can't remember where it was. And I must have put about my fear of flying before going on the flight. And halfway through, a lady came up to me and she said, "Oh, I follow you on TikTok. How are you finding the flight?" And I said, "Not great, to be honest." And she went, "Oh my God, neither am I. I'm really scared as well." Yeah. We ended up having like this half an hour conversation in the aisle. And by the end of it, I was like, "Do you feel all right?" And she was like, "Do you know what? I actually do. I feel really good after." I was like, "So do I." I said, "Thank you for talking to me for 30 minutes, because literally you've just taken my mind off this flight." As soon as I got back to the seat, I was like, "Oh, what's
that?" Yeah. I'm a bit scary if people sort of following you on TikTok and then they are literally following you.
Yeah, they're literally behind me, and she was lovely. We'd just come back from Orlando, so she was with
complete coincidence. She's on my next flight too.
Tap on the shoulder. Hello.
Yeah, that's a bit scary. Well, thankfully, I'm not that popular. So you obviously now amassed all these bloody podcasts. You've put yourself through it. I'd like if you would share some of your sort of top tips, really. So for somebody else listening, thinking, "Oh, crikey, you know, yeah, it's right for you." But what have you learned, and what are your tips for somebody else?
Well, my tips for turbulence: if you're sat on the plane and you feel a little bump and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the end. This is going to be literally the end of me." Just visualize. This is what I do anyway.
All right.
I was visualizing Steve, because Steve, the pilot, obviously, like Steve, whoever the pilot is, and the co-pilot in the front of the aircraft. They are chilled. They are so chilled. They don't even feel the bump. Like, they're just having a chat and having a chinwag and just sat back. I imagine Ray-Bans on, Top Gun, that kind of thing.
Of course.
And to them, they didn't even feel it. So imagine that you're driving your car and you're going over a bump, but you don't feel it because you're driving and you're expecting these bumps.
Yeah.
But behind, sat in that aircraft behind, it feels 10 times worse because you can't see it coming. So that was a really big helpful thing for me. That's all I kept thinking about. And also know that then there aren't such things as air pockets.
That's right.
That's right. There's no, because I was like, it's an air pocket. We're stuck in an air pocket. And then when you said that, I was like, oh, they don't have air pockets. And then my husband said about it. I was like, actually, they don't have air pockets. So, so when you feel like you're dropping half a mile out of the sky, in fact, you're probably only dropping like 10 meters or 5 meters or something like that. Maybe not even that.
Yeah.
So that is my go-to when
they're good. They're good ones. Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm feeling like that is my go-to. There was another thing as well. Look at the wings. And I don't know if this is a thing, or on the screen where you can see it, because they have all the different cameras now, don't they?
They do. Yeah, different aircraft. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So when I looked out the window, you can see. Whereas if you don't look, you feel like you're like going like this. But I looked out the window, and the wings were literally going like the tiniest amount, and on the camera screen as well, where they're filming the wings, it wasn't even moving. So that's what I kept saying to my sister-in-law. I was like, look at the camera, the wings aren't even moving, it's fine. Yeah.
Makes you think, doesn't it, when you see that? Because I mean, that's what gives you that sort of rational perspective. You don't use the glass of water trick then, or the bottle of water. That you don't need that one.
No, I didn't actually, but I will try that, because that would, that would be a really good thing to do, actually. No, I didn't think about that one.
Well, it's a good one if you can't see the wings, because you
Yeah.
can then, you've got your own little sort of
So you
spirit
put
level.
your bottle. So what do? Put your cup of water
Just
there.
put bottle or cup of water on your table. And just look at it during
And then
and you'll see how little it moves. It just jiggles about, and it's a great one because it reassures you, like at a rational level, what's actually happening versus what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I ever heard that. Was there was a guy called Captain Norman Lees who talked about this, and this was 25 years ago. He said this, and then the extra bit on it, which Gillian Harvey Bush, who's one of the psychologists I used to work with, she added the fact that when she goes on trains, like particularly in the UK, we can talk about that, you get thrown all over the place, and you cannot get a cup of coffee without a lid on it. Whereas on an aircraft, you don't get a lid because they know it's not going to fall over. Whereas on a train, you cannot they won't serve it without a lid, because they think, well, and that's on rails. So if it's on rails and it's still going to be risk, surely up in the air with all that floatiness, so that was the thing that she added, and I thought that was just brilliant.
That is
both
brilliant.
So think about that. It's just gives you something sort of really rational to sort of hold on to,
Absolutely. And I wouldn't feel any fear on a train, so I'm definitely going to try that one. Good top tip, Paul.
Not mine, borrowed wisdom, shared.
Borrowed wisdom.
Taking credit for it all, but no, just passing on what great stuff. And I'll do the same with you. You're now part of that story, Amy Jo. So any other things I can squeeze out of you, tips wise, or anything?
They're my go-tos. I'm trying to think.
What about when you get all those thoughts, you do something? You said your first thought is, and then there's this whole like splurge of stuff, and then you do something to get to the next place. What is it that you say or do?
I'll try and I do a lot of positive, like mindful thinking anyway. So if I'm sat on the plane and I can feel turbulence and I start to freak out, I'll talk myself out of it in my head. So I'll be like, no, it's fine. This is completely normal. This is what planes are supposed to do. Like, this is why they're built to go in these kind of conditions. So I will just try and talk myself out of it, really.
Okay.
And just try and be rational and say, no, it's fine, and look around as well, because when I look around and see other people calm, I'm like, well, no one else is panic. Oh, another top tip. One. Look at the air stewards as well. And the steward, I don't know if this is a top tip, actually. You might say, I don't know. But sorry, that was a really weird noise in my house then. When I look at the air stewards and they look fine and they're just like going around, I'm like, they look normal. They look like they're having fun. They're just chatting normally. This is good. This is good. And that's a good tip.
Okay, so on that one, a lot of people say and I don't think there's a problem with it at all. The only slight caveat is that sometimes when you're at your workplace, which is where they are, don't get me wrong, cabin crew know they're being watched, but there are the odd moments where you might have as David Gott used to say, we've run out of chicken dinners, panic look on your face, and you might see that and think, well, that's the sign of doom, but it's just a chicken doom.
So all I need to think of is, if I see a steward in panic, I'll just say it's fine, I just run out of
chicken meal. Because if you put anything exotic on the menu, you can pretty much guarantee everyone want the other thing, and then that'll be all that's left. And that is the crew's terror. Oh no, it's a fancy menu. That means half of it's not going to be. Nobody wants it.
So everyone gets angry that they can't have.
Yes, I paid. Where's my chicken? I want chicken.
I haven't got any chicken. I've just got beef or pork. That's
so funny. So that's the trauma that you might witness. But apart from that, yes, I don't think it's a bad process at all, because they are just at work and they know it's safe. And we obviously with the train, I don't know if did you get a chance to listen to any of the cabin crew ones? Like there was one recently with a mother and daughter British Airways cabin crew one.
No, I
That's
haven't.
quite a good one. Have a listen to that.
Oh,
That's
I
about
will.
episode 129 or
Ah,
131. Can't
yeah,
remember
I
which
will
one it is.
listen to that. So what are they saying
Well,
about?
it's just they're talking. Well, I'm not going to ruin it,
Oh,
but they
sorry.
just talk about the training that they went through and stuff, and it was just a really good reminder of how much they have to go through to get to
I
that
did
place.
listen to one about you were talking about how much training the cabin crew actually have and how much stayed like experience they have as well, and that was
Yeah,
really interesting because I would never have. Obviously, I knew they would have to have training and quite a
yeah,
substantial amount, but I didn't realize quite how in
yeah.
depth they go into the trainings. That was really good as well. And I think that was it as well. When my sister-in-law was having a panic about a child being sick, I said, don't worry, Emma, because the cabin crew, they're fully trained for this. I said, they know how to do it, all first aid. I said, they don't just do the basic first aid, they do the whole shebang. I was like,
You're funny. It's like you go into this other mode. You turn into a teacher, don't you?
literally, it really helped me. I need to sit next to someone who's got a fear of flying.
Yeah,
I will just be able to, I
yeah.
feel calm because I can help them.
Yeah, well, a lot of people say that by helping others, it sort of reinforces it for yourself because you start saying the stuff, don't you? So
You're
yeah,
saying it out loud and you're going, well, actually, yeah, that's good.
yeah,
And I don't want to show my fear to someone who's scared because it'll make them worse. And I don't want them to make them worse. So
no.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've done remarkable, and again, I'm very, very grateful for giving us a shout out, and it's just lovely. It's nice to see a bit of organic growth. We've not really paid that much attention to our Instagram stuff because we've been thinking about other things that we do. But when
Yeah.
you made a shout out, I think we got about 50 followers in about 2 hours or something, which
Oh, that's good.
is like, whoa, where they all come from, and then we traced it back. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're
And no
so
doubt there'll be
welcome.
more.
The amount of messages I got though about that post,
Yeah,
honestly, the messages were just going ping, 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 ping. Oh my God, I've got a fear of flying. I'm going to listen to this. And honestly, it was a game changer, absolute game changer. Just from listening to some podcasts, it's mad. So basically, you've done therapy online on these podcasts. So thank you.
well, I'm glad it helped. For a lot of people, I've been amazed at people. Somebody the other day said they hadn't flown for 30 odd years, and they've not come on any of our courses. All they've done is the same as you done the podcast, and just think, God, that's amazing, isn't it? Really, but also shows a certain mindset or determination on your part that information could have come and just literally bypassed you, but you were obviously ready and receptive to it, and that's why it's stuck with you and why it's helped. So I think you've got to take credit for that. You've done the work. All we've done is pump this stuff out, but you've applied it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that just to keep listening to it. For me, if I just keep listening to it, as I said, I listened to that one podcast maybe 10 times because I wanted it to fully go in, so I knew exactly what I was going to say to myself on that flight, and it worked. So
you probably spotted all the edits in there now, haven't you? It's worked out.
No, I didn't actually. No. No, I would only spot edits on like a TikTok video or a podcast. I've no idea about. You're fine.
Okay, right. Got away with it then. Well, thank you. Absolutely brilliant. So if anybody wants to follow you, they're not currently following you. What's your Instagram name?
Instagram is Amy Jo Simpson. I think it's just that. I'll have a look actually. I'll just make sure. I think it is Amy Jo Simpson. It's not anything snazzy. I don't think. Is it underscore? Hang on a sec, Paul. Right, it's amy.jo.simpson with a P. Yeah.
So hopefully you'll get some more followers, but more than anything, just want to say thanks, Saul, for promoting us. Really well done. It's amazing.
So welcome. Thank you so much. I don't think you realise quite how much you help people. So just keep doing this podcast, Paul.
Well, there's a team of us, and now you're part of it.
Yeah.
Amy Jo Simpson. Now this will be an episode, and people will listen to this and think, well, particularly if they follow you and they think, well, she's got over it, and they like you for other reasons, then that's going to help them as well. So thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you so much.